If you are going into the Marine Corps and you are going to OCS, whether it's the 10-week one or the 6-week one, this was how I was able to do very well in it. So let's start off. There's some information that you might already know about Officer Candidate School. These are the photos of me basically at Officer Candidate School in the summer of 2019. I was in the ROTC program. And yeah, that back picture is me about to do the physical fitness test. That picture is me of my platoon. Maybe you're going this summer, maybe you're going this winter, maybe you are considering joining the Marine Corps in the first place and going the officer route. That's what this video is all about and my experience. So essentially, all right, this training course, military training, it evaluates candidates on 3 criteria, all right? The first one, physical fitness. Second, academics. Third is leadership, and that is actually the most important part of it. And we'll get into all 3 of these components, and I'll give you a list of resources at the end of this video that are things you can immediately apply to better prepare yourself for OCS. Now, quick disclaimer before we start. I think for me and for all my friends that have gone through and have been through and are going to OCS, people overhype this place like more than anything. They love to talk about how hard it was and how hot it was, how cold it was, all the crazy things that happened. People fell over and passed out, you know, running the endurance course and, you know, all these things. And maybe that's true, but just remember that like there has to be context to a lot of these statements. And if you prepare well, you're not going to have to worry about some of the crazy, insane things that people talk about, all right? I made this beast out to be way worse than it actually was. That helped me train really well, and I prepared really well, so I was actually ready for it. But there was a lot of myth busting that people like really love to like shove down my throat. Like they exaggerated a lot of what it was about. And so I think it's just important to like take some of the stories from OCS with a grain of salt. There's context to everything, and just because someone makes it out to be as crazy as whatever, like that doesn't mean necessarily that you need to worry about it, that it's too hard for you. Like if you train properly for it and you prepare and you try your hardest, like you're gonna make it through. They want people that are able to persevere through that hardship. And they're going to give you the resources to be successful. So it's really a question of, are you going to take those resources? Are you going to take the insight from the instructors to actually get better and prove that you want to be there so they don't drop you for an integrity violation or other things that people get sent home for? So we'll get right to it now. So physical fitness at OCS. You need 6 weeks to prepare from crawling to running. You need 6 weeks to physically prepare for OCS. All the workouts that you do there are going to be body weight. I lifted a kettlebell and did weighted squats one time, and that was like one workout. So it really is all body weight exercises. Push-ups. They have a dip station. You'll do incline push-ups, decline push-ups. You'll climb up a rope. Most of the stuff, you do like flutter kicks. Any body weight exercise, 90% of those you can do in your house and replicate that same kind of intensity if you wanted to. There's a workout at the end of this video that I think is the best way to get a feel for how the PT is going to feel at OCS. So just watch the end of this video and I'll describe the workout later. So just know that it's all body weight exercises for the most part. Most of it is really running. You're going to improve your cardio a lot while you're there, but it really helps if you can have not only a good strength foundation, but a good cardio background is great because it'll just make it'll make running to and from the chow hall and like other places, it'll make your life a lot less stressful when you don't have to worry about the cardio aspect of it. If you want to improve your cardio, I have a running course that you can see on the same channel. It's a crawl, walk, run method to getting into running. That was my background as an athlete. But I wasn't naturally good at it, so I learned through hard work how to be good at it. For OCS, I recommend you run 3 to 5 days a week. Do one day that's interval. Do the off day, the easy day, as a long distance run. Just practice getting those miles under your legs and strengthening your joints in your body for that mile. Hydration and food are a big emphasis at OCS as well. So they're going to ensure that you're hydrating really well and eating tons of calories. I actually ate better at OCS there out of any other time in my college experience. I loved it. I have never, to this day, I don't think I've been able to match the amount of calories that they gave me on a daily basis there that consistently. They do a good job feeding you. So with that, practice being hydrated. Make sure your pee is like a very slight tint of yellow or clear. All right, that's how you know you're drinking enough water. The more you hydrate, the more easily you're going to be able to put out during PT there. Hiking is also a big portion of it. Technically, they're not always graduation requirements depending on the increment that you're going to and the kernel that's there at that time. So, but you do want to be good at hiking with weight on you. And I recommend putting 60 pounds in your pack, making sure that it's packed correctly, and then working in increments of going for a 3-mile hike, a 5-mile hike, a 7-mile hike, and then stop at 9 miles. Do those every other week for however much time you can leading up to it, all right? If you got 2 months before OCS, just go 3, 5, 7, 9. You would make it. If you have a month, just go 3 and then a 5-mile, okay? They'll help you work on hiking conditioning there. They'll build you up to the culminating 9-mile hike that you'll do. So now let's talk about academics. They're going to have tests and you'll have class there where they will teach you a wide range of military subjects specific to the Marine Corps. Everything from Marine Corps history, land navigation, uniforms, and tactics. They will give you enough time to study for these tests, but it's good that if you can seek out that knowledge beforehand, then I also recommend doing that too. Quizlet actually has a ton of these topics. If you just Google OCS, Marine OCS Quizlet knowledge, you will find all of it there. I use that to study. ROTC gave me a lot of classroom instruction on it, but really what I used to prepare in the couple months leading up to it was just going on Quizlet and knowing a lot of the trivia that these tests actually have. So they are all multiple choice and you have to get at least a B or better. So 80%, 80 is gravy, 80% to 100% is where you want to be shooting for. Anything less, you'll have to retake the test or remediate in some other way and you just don't want to do that. If you can, try to get a knowledge binder from your OSO, from your ROTC unit, or from someone who's been there before. These are the binders of knowledge that they give you that you'll actually have to learn and study there. It's basically your study guide to taking all the tests while you're there. And that is as close as you can get to the actual academics. But again, Quizlet is great too. There are tons of flashcards you can use on it. It's what I use. I just put together a bunch of them and just start with that because that'll already put you ahead. If you have a Navy ROTC unit on your campus, look for a course called like USMC Bulldog Prep, OCS Prep. There are actually, and you can get 3 credits for it. And basically, if you're not in ROTC, you can take this class to train with a unit that is specific to the OCS prep. Usually for us, it was like Fridays from like 7 to 9. We'd work out, we'd do classroom, we'd learn a little bit about the being intense aspect and like customs courtesies with that. So that's also a really good look. Try to see if there's an OCS prep class actually in your course catalog for your university. Now let's talk about leadership. This aspect is like the most emphasized at OCS for good reason. You're there to be a Marine Corps officer and you're there to be a leader. But I want you, before continuing on this video, pause the video and take a look at the following traits. So these are the leadership traits and the leadership principles, all right? Whether or not you're an OCS, being able to exhibit these qualities and live by these principles are essential in being a good leader. These things will absolutely come to life, for better or worse, in people when they are at OCS. So what I would recommend doing is to find little ways to demonstrate and practice these and to live by them to the best of your ability on a day-to-day basis. Find little ways to practice enthusiasm, to practice judgment, decisiveness, and integrity, initiative, all of these things. Find ways, if you are on a team for a sport or any aspect, just or a sport, try to find ways to internalize and exhibit these traits so that when you actually get to OCS, you're not only a better leader, but you're a better person because you understand yourself and you understand what makes a good leader. And it really are these time-tested concepts that they're going to teach you on, but I think very few people really try to instill these in themselves if they know that one of these traits is a weakness of theirs. Your peers will evaluate you on these traits. If you got somebody next to you that you don't like, you're not allowed to say like this person smells bad or they don't have discipline. You can hit them on, you can only hit people on specific character traits like bearing, justice, judgment, dependability, all these things. So your whole leadership grade falls on these traits and these principles. And it's really obvious when somebody is massively deficient. And it is really obvious when someone is massively deficient in one of these traits, or even a little bit too. And you get to grade people on what of these traits they exemplify, and you'll be given feedback on what traits you exemplify and what you need to work on too. So just make sure that when you get those peer evals back, make sure it's not a surprise to you. Make sure that you were learning about and improving yourself before some external factor was evaluating you. So I know this video is specific about how I crushed OCS, and I'm not saying that to show off. I wasn't the best person in my platoon. I was in the top 1/3, honestly, and it was because I practiced all of these things that we just talked about. I worked out body weight. I ran 3 to 5 times a week. I knew my strengths and my weaknesses going into it. I knew that I wasn't the greatest at hiking, so I worked on that a little bit more. The academics, I tried to study beforehand, so I was able to have more time at OCS to focus on other things like stretching my body and like maybe rehabilitating any minor injuries that I might have had along the way. And then as for leadership, that is something that you just have to watch how you respond to things on a day-to-day basis. The most interesting thing that I learned while I was there is that you don't change just by going to officer candidate school. You're the same person you are as when you're watching this video or sitting in the comfort of your home or going on a run. You know, like, do you lie when you get stressed out? Do you practice humility in front of your family? You're not gonna be this magically transformed person by the end of this process. Like, you're going to become a magnified version of who you already are. And that's what the most important thing to understand about leadership is. You don't develop it suddenly when you're in that environment. You can do that way before. You can do your homework way before that and practice these traits. So by the time you're standing in front of those instructors, you already know what you're capable of, what you're weak on, and correcting those weaknesses is something that is an ongoing process for people. There's a lot of other things about OCS, the little things like, oh, I hear it's really hot there. You're gonna get acclimated to the heat. You're gonna get used to the mileage if you prepare your body adequately beforehand by doing the things that we talked about in this video. You're going to figure out the customs and weird courtesies that go along with OCS. Like, they're gonna teach you all of that there. As soon as you show up, they're assuming you know nothing. They're literally gonna teach you from scratch everything. And sometimes, the learning process might be accelerated because they're assuming that you might have already a similar background or done some prep work for it, but they aren't going to test you on anything that they are not going to already have taught you theirself while you're there. And the biggest thing is too, if you're religious, you get church on Sundays and Wednesdays, which is awesome. It's a great morale booster. If you're not, or you choose not to go to church, you get to make more name tape labels and all the little stuff that they try to keep you busy with. But essentially, these things are the most important things that you can apply to be successful. All the other little worries and stresses that you have will work themselves out. And I guarantee you, like myself, a lot of it was irrational before I showed up. A lot of it were these exaggerated images of what I thought it would be. But by the time I showed up there, I realized that I had the opportunity to work on my weaknesses. They taught me a lot of things, and they helped make me a better leader while I was there, while they were stressing me out at the same time. So you are going to adapt no matter what. It is not worth your effort to spend too much time stressing about whether or not you're good enough to be there. Start working on your weaknesses, and that is the fastest way to give yourself the confidence you need to lead your peers in that environment. So if you guys have any other questions, I know I didn't hit on all the specific details of OCS. If you need to like work on pull-ups, just work on pull-ups. Google pull-up resources to do pull-ups. If you're slacking on crunches, you need to get better on crunches for the fitness test, the combat fitness test. Figure out what those exercises are and then just put those as part of a PT plan. It's a chance for you to kind of practice a little bit of leadership by developing your own program or making yourself better and potentially your future enlisted Marines better too. So again, if you guys have any questions, just feel free to leave a comment and I'll do my best to respond. Thanks.